Hey everybody, and welcome to Walk Daily. This is Micah Holt with you here. Just so glad that you're back, and I'm glad that I'm back here. Got a video on Deuteronomy today, and we're going to be talking mostly in Deuteronomy 8 and some others there. It's really kind of an extension of a video that we did last week, one of our daily devotional videos that we were talking about in Deuteronomy 31. Which was talking about the Song of Moses. And we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth, more detail about what that kind of was. See, at that time, if you remember, God was telling Moses about how he was getting ready to die, and God was going to lead the children of Israel on into the promised land, but he wanted them to remember where they had come from. And so he wanted Moses to write the song so that they could remember, they'd have that knowledge of what had happened to pass on to generation after generation. So this is a little bit more in depth about remembering where we come from. Okay, so we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of Deuteronomy for this one, and God said they had waited long enough. They had been in the desert long enough. Deuteronomy 1:6-8 is where we're looking at first, and verse 6 it says, the Lord our God said to us in Horeb, you have stayed long enough at this mountain. Turn and take your journey and go into the hill country of the Amorites and to all the neighbors in the Abora, excuse me, I can't speak properly very well, I guess. In the hill country, in the lowland and in the Negeb, and by the seacoast, the land of the Canaanites, the Lebanon, and as far as the great river, the river Euphrates. Verse 8 says, see, I have set this land before you. Go in, take possession of the land that the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give to them and to their offspring after them. See, they had waited for 40 years. They had waited. They were wandering in the desert. They had finally now got to enter the promised land, and that's what Deuteronomy's kind of leading up to, and which is awesome. That's a great thing, right? But he says, don't forget that I have been with you this whole time. That's what God's wanting you to know. Wanting us to know, but he's also wanting them to know at that time that he had been with them through everything. Okay. And next we're going to look at Deuteronomy 4:9, and he says, only take care and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things that your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. Make them known to your children and to your children's children. Okay, so this is something pretty big, I think. He doesn't want this something to just be to come and go. He wants not only just for it to not come and go, but tell your kids, but not just them, tell your grandchildren. Make sure it's passed on to their kids and their kids and their kids, to all the generations, because this is big. This is big. This promised land is an amazing place, and what they went through was an amazing feat in and of itself. And don't lose sight of that and pass that on, okay? So what should they remember? Okay, what are we talking about? What exactly does God want them to remember? Well, Deuteronomy 8:2-3 says, you shall remember the whole way the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness, that he might humble you, testing you to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. And he humbled you and let you hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. Okay, that sounds pretty great, huh? He was with them, through all that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've thought about that many times through the struggles that I've gone through. Wondered, where was God? In the hurt that I've gone through, I've wondered, where was God through that thing? And why Why am I going through this if God is so good? Why am I going through this or that? Okay. Um, so was he really with them? I'm sure that was a thought they were having, but yes, he led them that way for a purpose. He wanted them to be humbled. He wanted to show his power to them, and he wanted to show them that his ways were to be followed. We talked about God being great and loving and wonderful, but he's also a jealous God, and he's also a God that wants us to serve him and not to serve others. And back there in the New Testament, especially in this time, that was a bigger deal to him. He really made that. I won't say it was a bigger deal. It's still a big deal, but he really made that known. And so, could have there been an easier way? Yeah, perhaps, maybe something easier, something that wasn't so hard on them. That was something that, again, I asked myself. Could I have, would I have still loved my daughter without, without 9 miscarriages? Yeah, I think so, but maybe not. Maybe that's for some reason. Maybe that was God's plan, and I don't know. But could there have been an easier way? Absolutely. But as a father, a really good father, lead an easy way. I think about my daughter. We just got her a big swing set, play set, and we'll put that up this week. And it's got one of those rock walls that you climb up to get to the platform, and then you slide down. Well, she's never really been much of a climber. She just turned 2 years old. But she got right up to that thing and she wanted to try. Well, I didn't hold on to her super tight. I didn't freak out. I just kind of gently placed my arms kind of on the small of her back, just to kind of let her know that I was there. Catch her if she fell, but let her do the work. Because what happened, after that one time, she got better at it. And she climbed, she got up there, she felt proud of herself, and she knew that she could do it the next time. So the next time she went up, just one hand, up, she went, no problem. More confidence. She knew what she could handle. And by the third, fourth time, I don't even have to hold on to her anymore. Now I'm right there, still with her all this time. Every time she's climbing, I'm there with her. But she knows, and I know, what she's capable of. And I know she can climb that ladder. I know she can face that mountain, her mountain, as she's 2 years old and climbing 5 feet in the air. So that's the way a father leads. I'd like to think I'm a good father. And so we lead with support, and we let them know that we're there. So next, talking about the way a father leads, Deuteronomy 8:5, of course, Deuteronomy. I keep saying that because it's written down here, but you know where I'm at. In chapter 8, verse 5, it says, know that in your heart, as a man disciplines his son, the Lord your God disciplines you. Now you see, he is our father. And as a father, like I said, sometimes we have to do things that we and he doesn't like. Or things that are challenging to us. We have to go through those times so that we can get stronger and be able to face things on down the line. And there is a payoff for those things. Now, for the Israelites, the children of Israel, we're going to look in chapter 8, 7 through 10 and see what their payoff was. Chapter 10, it says, for the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks, of water, of fountains and springs, flowing out of the valleys and the hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, and a land of olive trees and honey, a land in which you will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and out of those hills you can dig copper, and you shall eat and be full, and you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. So you see, they now have exactly what they were promised way back before most of them were probably born. But the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were promised. And now they're in that, and it's beautiful, and it's so much better than what they ever had, not just in the desert, but in Egypt. Okay, And that was something they complained about as we talked about it. And while they were out in the desert, they complained about what they did have in Egypt that they no longer have. But what they're going to is even far better than what they had in Egypt. Okay, so that's wonderful, but hold on, because there's something else here, and this is very important. Chapter 8, verse 17 and 18 says, "Beware, lest you say in your heart that my power and the might of my hand has gotten me this wealth. You shall remember that the Lord your God, you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may confirm his covenant that he swore to your fathers as it is to this day." See, God did not want him to take credit. No, he didn't want them, the Israelites, to take credit for the work that he was doing. It was for his glory. Everything that he was doing was for his glory, not for what they had seen. So let's bring it back to our life. How does that apply to us today? Well, God has promised us great and marvelous things. These things may not be earthly. In fact, really what we're mostly talking about is our heavenly home. We're not talking about the riches that we get here, money, fame, fortune, so on and so forth. We're not promised those things. We're not even promised health, while we're here on earth. We're just promised that if we accept the Lord, we accept Jesus into our lives, that there's a better home waiting for us. And we've heard it, the mansions on 1,000 hills, the streets of gold, gates of pearl, walls of jasper, yada, yada, yada. All those things are so wonderful. And that's what we're promised. But it won't necessarily be easy. In fact, usually it isn't. Usually we have to go through things that are very hard indeed. And, we're going to have to go through pretty rough things that test us. They humble us. They make us look back and see where we came from. Hopefully, that's what we want anyway. They test our faith. They test our endurance. But God uses those things, like I said, to humble and to test us so that we can go strong in him, so we can face the next battle even better. And he wants us to remember those great things that he has done for us, the places that he has led us out of. And he wants us to tell our children and pass it along to their children and through the many generations, and lead as many to him as we can by our witness. Okay? He doesn't want us to take credit for those good things. That's the last part of here. He wants us to point to him for everything, because it's for his glory, just like back then, with the children of Israel. See, we were in slavery. And all of these things that we've been talking about from Genesis leading up through Deuteronomy has really kind of brought us to this point and gives us a very good example of who we are as Christ followers, right? See, we were once in slavery, slave to sin, slave to death, okay? But we were brought out of that by accepting Christ into our lives. We were brought out of that slavery, brought into a new life. Now, again, that's not always easy. We're going to wonder. We're going to have hard times. We're going to struggle. And we're going to not understand necessarily all the things that we're being led through in order to get to where we're going. Now, we know we've been told that we've got a promised land waiting for us. But we've got to go through some bad things to get there. And we don't always understand the rules and the whys and the hows of whatever went on. So we're gonna press on. That's what we have to do. When we have to remember, for each step, we have to remember, well, God brought us out of the slavery. He's given us food. He's given us water. He's given us money to get by. Our bills are being paid. We're eating, that sort of thing. And we need to remember those things so that we can press on and face the next step. Now, I wasn't really sure if I was going to bring this up because I didn't know if I'd have time. I didn't want to take too much time here, but this coronavirus thing has really put a lot of stress on people. And we've talked a little bit about it, but I really just kind of let it go and kind of not been one to talk much about it. But this is a struggle that we're going through. We're all dealing with it in different ways. Whether we're at work, not at work. There's people without jobs now. There's people that are, lost income, losing their health over it. People fighting back and forth over, we should do this, we shouldn't do that. And it's a struggle. And people are scared. People are wondering, well, if that's you that's lost income, that's lost your job, remember, there have been times you may have lost income before. There's times you went through a struggle financially. And God's brought you here. Clothes on your back, food in your belly. Remember that. If it's you that has gotten affected health-wise, whether by coronavirus or another illness, whether during this time or before, remember that God brought you to this point. And lastly, what we need to remember, that if God doesn't bring us out on this earth of a financial ruin or of a health crisis, well, this earth isn't what it's all about anyway. It's that next land. It's that promised land that we're looking for. And we need to be looking for that. So whatever it is, let's remember God. Let's remember what He has brought us through, brought us out of, and where He's taken us. And let's all give Him the glory for all of it, because He knows what He's doing. He knows where He's taken us. And all that matters is that we take the step day after day, just like He tells us to. That's all I got for today. Guys, I'm really excited. I'm entering a new phase in my life with some new Bible teaching that I'm getting a part of, and maybe more of that to come later. I might tell you about, probably will. I'll be praying for me. I'll be praying for you guys. I'm really looking forward to learning more and more and more about God and sharing it with you. Guys, I really want to interact with you. As always, I really appreciate the comments that I get, and I'll try to get back with you as much as I can. Guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, bell notifications, all that stuff. Not for me. I don't care, how many followers I got or whatever. But I just want to get the word of the Lord out to you. And I want to get the word of God out to your friends, your family, whoever, random people you don't know. So let's share this stuff. Hopefully somebody will get something from it, because the word does not return void. I may not be eloquent, I may not be able to speak real well, but God's word is true. And that's what I'm hoping I can do. So pass that along. Come back and see me again. I'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about Joshua, starting that study. So we'll have a video over Joshua here in about a week, and see where it goes from here. All right, guys. Love you all. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Have a great week, and don't forget to walk daily with Jesus. God bless you.